All right. Welcome to Max Group. Again, this is intended to be a group together where you learn just skills, life skills that are intended to help you take them home and do them immediately, try them out, and be able to help better manage your mental health. This is if you are feeling suicidal or there is anything as you're listening to this or there's any further help that you need immediately, please reach out to us or reach out to 911 and get help, and let us know if there is anything that we can do to help and support. But please reach out for more immediate help to your emergency services wherever you might be listening to this. I have to also apologize right from the beginning. I have been dealing with a cold, so I am a little, might cough a little bit in this, and I'm hoping not to have a coughing fit. So hopefully, I don't have to chew on a lifesaver either. But again, today I just wanted to. My mind has really been on being mindful and being intentional with in everyday life. I was having a conversation with someone in therapy yesterday or 2 days ago, and we were talking about the importance of being present. And this was the couple that I was seeing, and the gentleman was having a hard time just realizing, like, I'm here, I'm having a conversation with you. Why is it? Why do you still feel like I'm not listening? And his wife was trying to explain to him, it just doesn't feel like you're here, like you're physically here. And he wasn't necessarily on his phone, and we definitely get that. Clients who do that, or our partners do that sometimes. But there was just a general, he was thinking he was there and he was involved in the conversation and he thought he was engaged, but he really wasn't present in the moment. He was feeling a little anxious. He was feeling a little frustrated. And when we got to the heart of it, we were able to really determine that help him understand that by him being in his own emotions and not being able to manage his own emotions and what was going on for him presently, he was not able to be there with his spouse. And she felt like he wasn't listening and she wasn't heard. So this is often something that I hear in couples, particularly, and people will often hear, I don't feel like you understand me, or you're listening to me, or you're not there for me. And a lot of times couples just, or their partner doesn't understand why. And so I want to talk today about mindfulness and general mindfulness, but I also want to bring it back to how that helps us be present in the moment and being intentional. And when we do that, we are able to be in that moment. We are able to be more, we have more clarity, and we have more a sense of direction and a sense of purpose than we do checking off the task list. So along with that too, another thing that I often hear is, we're doing great. We're a great couple. We get the kids to school, we pay our bills on time, we go to work, we do all these things, and they're task oriented tasks. Like they do life well together. But when you really dig down and you really ask them, like, tell me what else is good about your relationship. Tell me what else is good about your experience, about the things that you love about your partner. And they have a really hard time kind of coming up with that, or coming up with, like, I don't know, or it's fine. And this is where I really work with couples specifically, and individuals can do this as well, of really being present in the moment to help foster a sense of being known, being understood. And when we feel that in ourselves, we're able to show up better for ourselves, but show up for those people who really care about us, need us, and we're able to just be better humans for them. Um, and so I want to go through a couple exercises. One of them specifically, if you have a minute, if you're listening to this on replay, grab some water or grab a drink or grab something that you can just use. I've got some water here if you are joining us live. Grab some water and just take a little sip. And I want you to, before you just drink some water, I just want you to notice. Did you even think about my mouth was tasting like right now, or what was going on inside my mouth, or what it was feeling like? And just notice. Just take a second, close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and just notice. Does it taste like dinner? Does it taste like toothpaste? Does it taste like the last thing I ate? Just notice what it feels like. Maybe move your tongue around a little bit. How does your tongue rest in your mouth? Does it rest against the how do your teeth bite together, right? Do you have an overbite, an underbite, a crossbite? I in my mouth I have a permanent retainer on the bottom. So I always have this spot that my tongue always finds on the left side that is this little pokey spot that my tongue is used to now, but if I really pay attention to it, I can really tune into that. Most of the time, I don't even notice it. It's just there. It's not a thing. But when I tune into like what's going on inside my mouth, how does it feel? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it moist? Is it dry? How does my mouth, my tongue sit in there? How do my teeth bite together? Am I clenching my jaw? Am I relaxed? Is my jaw muscles tight? Just notice that for a minute. And as you're noticing all of that, take a deep breath. And if you have some water next to you or something next to you, I want you to just take a minute. And as you are taking a drink in, I just want you to notice how it feels in your mouth, right? Does it wash over your teeth? Does it swish around? Do you swallow it straight down? There's no right or wrong way to drink some water. But as you take a drink, I just want you to notice what happens. So I'm going to do this. Okay. And now my mouth feels different. I'm drinking cold water. My mouth feels cooler, feels more wet, right? And I notice how I'm swallowing, right? I would pay more attention to that as I swallowed, and especially right now while I have a sore throat. That cool water felt really good against the scratchiness in the back of my throat. I was able to feel the water not just inside my teeth area, right, but also within my cheeks. And I took a pretty big gulp of water, right? Maybe you just took a sip and it went straight down. I took a pretty big gulp of water, so it was kind of filling my whole mouth. Um, and as all of that was happening for me, again, just swallowed and noticed how it went down, and I could almost feel it go all the way down. Right? Do this a couple of times. This is really helpful there. We get so task oriented. We sit down to eat dinner and we eat as fast as we can. We're on to the next thing. We're purpose is to sit down and eat, especially in American culture. It's like on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And we get so focused on the task that often we forget to just be with ourselves and notice how we're experiencing life. And so sometimes taking these simple pauses and talking about, or even just noticing, what is it like to drink this water? One of my favorite activities to do with clients, particularly who are struggling with eating disorders or body dysmorphia, or some things that are struggling with kind of food or food preferences, is to do mindful eating. And mindful eating is just you put something in your mouth and you just a nut, right? You put a nut over in your mouth, and you just don't bite it instantly. It's not the goal is to not just chew it and get it down, but the goal is to notice how does it feel. What does it feel like on my tongue? And then I like to take a trail mix actually because it has a couple different things. So I usually use trail mix and I use a nut to first start, and we just is it salty? Where do you feel that on your taste buds? Where on your tongue is telling you, right? We have different areas on our tongue that tell us, oh, this is a salty thing, or oh, this is a sweet thing. And so if you can notice where on your tongue, where is that picking it up? Where am I noticing that? And you notice that in your tongue, you notice how it feels, when you crunch that nut. Um, when you put a sunflower seed in your mouth, right? I love using sunflower seeds because you get different textures, and then Oftentimes people get used to, oh, I'm going to eat a sunflower seed, I'm going to crack it open, and I'm going to eat that inside, and I'm going to get the shells out and spit them out. And we just do it so quickly that we don't give ourselves time to really just appreciate what's happening, right? How's our tongue able to separate that out? How's our tongue able to tell a difference between the inside shell, the inside nut or the seed, and the shell? And so those things are good practice just to slow down and use in your daily life. So whether or not you're doing mindful eating, mindful sitting, right? Oftentimes our body just works until it doesn't, until we get an injury or we get hurt or something happens. But often we go from sitting to standing and we don't even think about, what muscles am I using in my body to help myself stand up right now? What am I using in my body right now as I sit against this chair? How does my back feel against this chair? How do my legs feel against this chair? How do my uh, how do my arms feel sitting on these armrests? Just noticing how your body is feeling and taking that into consideration. Again, we get so focused on next thing, next task, next client, next workload, next, oh, I got the laundry done. Now it's on to vacuuming. Now it's on to putting this kid to bed or responding to this need or doing this task. And it's if we slow down and just notice how our body is feeling, it often helps us figure out how am I feeling emotionally, right? Our body is kind of the signal to what's happening internally, what's happening emotionally for us. And so if we can notice, oh, my back's kind of hurting right now, or I'm clenching my jaw, I've been clenching my jaw for a minute. I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated, or I'm kind of feeling a little anxious about that, right? We feel that maybe in our stomach. We feel the pressure in our chest. We feel the thoughts in our head. We feel the anxiousness in our jaw. And so all of those things help to just help us be more present and aware of our presence in that moment to then be able to identify how am I really feeling. And when we feel that way, then when we're able to notice that and pay attention to that, we're more able to respond to ourselves, and we're able to ask for what it is that we need in that moment, and we're also able to show up better for our partner. So again, mindful eating, sitting, body movements, those things are really, really great practices to do. And as you do them, mindfulness is different than meditation, right? You're not trying to get to a meditative state where I'm like being a monk in a Buddhist temple and I'm not thinking about anything else or doing anything else. And I'm in this, completely meditative state. That's not mindfulness. Mindfulness is being aware of what's happening in the present moment. And so many of us get caught up in the anxiety or the thoughts of what's next. All right, task is done. How do I move on? And so mindfulness is the practice of really slowing down and being present in the moment with what is happening right now. An easy way to do this is to check in with what's happening in my body and to kind of do a body scan. I know we've talked about that in past max groups. So if that is something that you're like, what's a body scan? Go back and watch some of those. But a body scan, I'll just do a quick review, is just literally like I imagine my body going through an MRI machine an MRI machine or something like that, that just kind of those tubes, right? I don't even know what they are. But I picture my body going through them and having that image of that scan doing over my whole body. How's my head doing? What's my jaw doing? Where's the places that I carry tension? How's it feeling in my shoulders? Do I clench my fists? What's that feel like in my fists and hands? What does my gut feel like? What's my gut telling me? Are my legs tight? And I go all the way down, even just like curling my toes. If I'm curling my toes, there's a bit of tension in me and I'm carrying a bit of tension. And so I just do that body scan of like, okay, what's going on? Oh, I might be feeling a little anxious right now. Okay, what do I need right now in this moment to help me ease my tension? And if I can ease that tension, I'm able to show up better for myself and I'm able to be more present with my partner, client, friends, kids, whatever it is, I'm able to be more present in my life, and I'm able to show up better. And the better I'm able to show up, the more clearly I'm able to ask for what it is that I need, and the better other people are going to be able to show up for myself as well. So, how this relates back to couples as well. Another activity, if you're looking for an activity or something to try, and if you don't believe me about being present, I'm going to walk you through what it would look like if you were to try one of these at home. But I want you to how what you would do is you would get a partner, and let's say you wanted to experience this, so you would be closing your eyes, and they would be walking behind you and maybe have their hands on their shoulder, so they're kind of leading you and guiding you, right? It's fun to kind of set up different obstacle courses, have them be blindfolded or shut their eyes, and then you're guiding them through, or you're having someone else guide you through. It's helpful to do the same thing 2 or 3 times, so you're not doing something new, but you're setting up, we're walking around the dinner table or the dining table a couple of times. And then we turn and go the opposite direction. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. We have one person leading and one person following. And as you're leading, the person who is being led closes their eyes and just notices, what does the person who is leading me or guiding me want me to do? You don't use words, no words or no verbal exchange, but you use the cues of body cues. How do I get you to move? How do I signal to you to move? And be really intentional about how you're sending that signal. And then you do the same thing again once you've done the course, or you've done around the dining table, or you've done some obstacle. You do it again, and as you do it again the second time, you're going to be leading and guiding, and the person that's being led is going to kind of know, they're going to start to anticipate, right? So this time you sing a happy song in your head while you're also trying to lead them, and see how it changes. See if their presence really feels any different. And then you do it another time, and you can do this as many times as you want. You can do this 10 times if you want. But you do it a different time, and every time you do something different, the person who is leading you, or the person who is leading does something different, right? So now I'm going to think about, as I'm leading you, I'm going to think about, what am I doing tomorrow? What do I have to do? What are the things that are on my to do list? How am I going to get those done? And I'm going to think of that as I am leading you through this. And I promise you, there is a physical change that happens. Even though you're doing the exact same action every time and the same task is required, there is a difference that is felt because you are not there present, right? And so it's fun to do this a couple of times and then go back to being really present, right? What might it feel like for that person who is being led to not know what they're doing, to not know where we're going, right? To not know when I'm going to change directions or go the other direction. And so it's fun. I've done it with my kids. I've done it with my husband. I've done it with clients in the room. And it's a great experiment, and a lot does come from it because it is a very telling exercise to tell just how important it is to be present. Because so many of us think that we can multitask. That, oh, I can answer this email and have a conversation at the same time, and we're just fine, right? I can be scrolling through Facebook or doing whatever, or checking sports feed or whatever on my phone while I'm having a conversation with my partner. I'm totally fine. I'm engaged. I'm listening. And what we find out is you really aren't. And that's why, going back to clients, couples who often argue about, I don't feel like you're present with me. I don't feel like you're listening to me. If we go back to those moments, oftentimes, even though they're physically present, they might not even be scrolling. Like, they might be looking, having eye contact. But if they're thinking about something else, often it feels like you're not hearing. There's something there. Even though you're listening, I think you're listening. It feels like there's a barrier still. So the more present we can be, the more mindful you can be, the more engaged you can be with what is happening inside of me, right? If my partner's talking to me and I'll use a personal example because this often happens. And sorry, Brett, for disclosing our heat things here, but we Finances are not my strong suit. They never have been. For a long time, when we were first married, I did a bulk of the finances, and I felt very like I took on that burden, and I did that for the first probably 12, 13 years of our marriage. And then that switched, and I no longer do the finances. But every time we have a finance conversation now where we have to sit down and talk about, okay, what bill are we going to pay or how are we going to do this? I oftentimes will like glaze over, and I feel like I'm present and I feel like I'm there, but my husband will often get kind of annoyed and frustrated with me, like, you're not really here. And I I am trying to be present, but I'm aware of it now, and because I'm aware of it, we've been able to work through that, and I can say, you know what, I'm needing to take a minute. I need to take a time out. I need to go, I need to have a little bit of a break, and then we always come back to it. But I'm being more aware of it, and him being aware of my kind of shutdown in this. I'm able to be aware of it so that I can ask for what it is that I need, rather than him continue to get frustrated with me, which he still gets frustrated with me. But rather than him just getting frustrated with me and then it ending up in a huge blow up and a big fight, we're now able to say, okay, this is going to be a challenging conversation. For me, it happens to be on my side this time. And because of that, I need these certain parameters, right? I can't do it late at night. The kids can't be around or I'm going to be occupied with them. And so we have to set certain parameters, and that just helps us avoid a fight, first of all, and helps me be able to know what I need to stay really present in that moment. Again, that didn't happen overnight. That took trial and error, but that also took me being aware and being present about what I need in those moments to be able to show up for myself. Um, and again, a lot of times this happens when emotional conversations happen between clients or happens between partners. We don't realize that we're getting overwhelmed or that we're getting frustrated or that we're getting irritated or annoyed or bored, and that shows up. And our partner says, "Well, you're not really here," and it's true they're not, but they are at the same time. And so talking through that in a different way. And this all goes back to again that just general mindfulness and being mindful and being present and being intentional with your present moment and your presence in that moment. How am I being present? What am I doing to be in this moment? What am I needing? Doing a body scan. What do I need? How is this happening for me? What is this like? And being able to check in for what it is that you need. Again, these mindfulness activities can be little things like paying more attention to what it feels like to eat certain things or drink certain things or sit or stand or go from sitting to standing. Um, Being mindful of driving. Oftentimes people get a lot of road rage when they're driving, and so being able to pay attention to what it is that I need in those moments. When am I getting frustrated? When do I know that I need to back off or slow down or leave sooner or whatever it is that I need to manage my road rage. um, Again, by being aware of it and being present in those moments, we can show up for ourselves and manage our day-to-day mental load, because we don't ever emotions shift so quickly and so fast that we don't ever stay in one emotion for very long. It's always interesting to me when I have clients track their emotions throughout the day, particularly clients who say I don't feel anything. It's pretty amazing to start to see them as they start to track it and start to pay attention to that, of how many emotions we do have throughout the day and how quickly things can shift for us. And so those are things that just start to paying attention to those. And when I'm feeling anxious, where do I feel that in my body? How is my body signaling to me that this is happening for me right now? Those are all great ways to stay present and be mindful of what it is that I need in that moment. Mindfulness really does help manage all sorts of mental health issues, whether it be trauma experiences that you're having, trauma symptoms, whether it be anxiety, depression, any of those. How you show up for yourself and being able to show up for yourself better helps you show up for the people that you love better in your life. Um, Again, mindfulness is a great practice. It's something simple that you can do every day. It's something you can start today. Even be mindful of what it feels like to lay down in your bed at night, or be mindful of what it feels like. And there's so many walking on the ground as I'm walking from, the door to the front door to the mailbox. How does the ground feel underneath my feet? If I have different shoes on, does my toes pinch in certain ways? Like there's so many ways to be mindful and just pay attention to the different things, the bodily experiences that you're having that I guarantee you haven't thought of in years, if ever. Those things they tell our bodies how to respond. Um, that's all I have for tonight. And mindfulness is a huge thing, and I've seen it be life changing for so many people as they pay attention a little bit more to the things that are happening in them, around them, to their bodies, and how they're able to respond. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of something to think about, some activities to do, and ways to be more mindful in your present day, starting today, so that you can be better manage your mental health. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week on the next group that we have for you next week.